You get used to it. I don't even see the color. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead. You get used to it. I don't even see the color. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead. You get used to it. I don't even see the color. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I wanted to present the fourth installment in the series covering the overall image of the dimensions of the modern woman. Now, just to review, the first podcast I presented covered the Octane model, or the Octane scale, which was presented by the master teacher BGS IBMOR. And with this particular scale, we were able to see a broader variety and a more clarified spectrum of women across various socioeconomic backgrounds, which is a big picture view of how women's behavioral outputs vary. And it's interesting how you contrast this to the way that a lot of content creators focus on just one small portion of the greater picture with their content, and how they use this small minority of the bigger picture as the example of the entire portrait. But in contrast, what it ends up doing is reflecting on the presenter's limited range of experience with a variety of women. Moving on, the second installment in this particular series highlighted the female group hierarchy, which is another concept that's presented in the book The Seduction scriptures. Now, with the female group hierarchy, we got a glimpse at how women naturally fall into positions within their group, going from the queen bee to the top mistress to the bottom mistress, and of course the sub mistress. Now, what's interesting about these two dimensions, the Octane model and the female group hierarchy, is that the women who belong to certain female group hierarchies, or Feghs, often reflect the leadership of the queen bee of the female group hierarchy. So if the queen bee is a 92 octane, the subordinate members of that hierarchy will reflect the 92 octane behaviors. Even if they're not 92s, whenever they're together in their group, they are going to fall in line with the behavioral patterns of that 92 in order to navigate the social space of that group under the leadership of that 92 octane. Last, we have the podcast covering the modern SMB, or the sexual market value. Now, this particular concept is covered on page, or beginning on page 110 of the Seduction scriptures. So basically, what I wanted to do is highlight the current trends as far as what constitutes a quote-unquote hot woman, or a dime piece, all the way down to the five, or the girl next door, or homebody. So with these three dimensions of observable elements that make up the modern woman, we now have a reliable starting point for the type of women that we are encountering, or would potentially be encountering. And so what this does is give the average man not only valuable insight into a potential target, but the language in order to articulate what is happening, what are these elements, what are these dimensional aspects of a particular woman that he may or may not want to engage. So in essence, gentlemen, we just gave you an additional superpower. You're welcome. So how does this translate? Well, let's look at a few examples. First, we obviously have the example of the current prototype for what the quote-unquote dime would be, and that is none other than the Kardashian slash Jenner motif. Now, looking at the graphic that we've got displayed right now, you see that Kim is still currently the queen bee. Well, but let's look at the score. She is a 92 octane because of the background of her parents and her education. She is the current queen bee of the Kardashian empire under her mother, of course, and she is rated as an SMB currently at 10. Now that's obviously going to shift as she ages out of that space. And look at her sister, Kylie Jenner. She is currently obviously the 92 octane given her background. She is the top mistress of the Kardashian female group hierarchy, and her SMB is a 10 because she represents the other half of the current prototype for a dime, which is again the Kardashian slash Jenner motif. For a more detailed breakdown of what that represents, definitely refer to your copy of the Seduction scriptures or click the link for a deeper dive video that I did on this very subject. Now, let's shift over to another example of how this plays out in pop culture. Now, in this space, we like to use the example of the television series Insecure, and a great example of this score is one that we have on the screen right now. Now, in another podcast, I'm going to go into a further sort of expanded view of the Insecure female group hierarchies. But for the sake of this particular case study, let's take a look at Blair. Now, if you recall from season 3, Blair was part of the crazy crew under Tiffany's female group hierarchy. Now, Blair has a 3D image score of 92T-8. That spells out that she is a natural 92 octane, top mistress under Tiffany Dubois' female group hierarchy, and she has an SMB of 8. Now, obviously, the SMB is subjective, but just ballpark, that's what we're going to put in terms of her SMB. All right, guys, so let's take this up a notch. Let's switch it back over to the real world in an example of a qualified, exceptional scoring case study. Looking at the current image on your screen, you'll see none other than legendary Hugh Hefner, the original Playboy himself. Now, the woman on the left of the screen is Hope D. And gentlemen, not only was her last name beginning with D, but D was the rank of Diesel that she was solidified as she made the 2010 Playboy Playmate of the Year. But beyond 2010, she was mostly forgettable until none other than tech billionaire Robert Smith discovered her and changed her name from Hope D to Mrs. Robert Smith, now bringing her into the modern dime motif. Of course, there's a very close resemblance when she's made up to the Kardashian motif. And so now we can place the full 3D image score with Hope Smith as a Diesel Q-10. So why don't we take it up yet another notch, gentlemen? Let's take a look at the 2019 Miss America. And again, gentlemen, let's keep this in perspective. These are exceptional examples of women who score extremely high according to the 3D image scoring system. So let's just keep that perspective in mind. Take a look at Miss Nia Imani Franklin, the 2019 Miss America. Now, obviously, the Miss America pageant or the Miss USA, the Miss Universe, these are all certifiable displays of congeniality, of composure, poise, swimsuit, evening wear. And unfortunately, 2019 was the last year that they were featuring the swimsuit as far as the Miss America. I'm not sure about the other pageants. But when we look at the example of Imani Franklin, we see a woman who has a score of 92Q-10. So 92 Octane because of her background, Queen Bee status because being crowned the winner of a major pageant is just as certifiable as like a blue check mark, for example. The crown of Miss USA, Miss America, Miss Universe, that's just like, you know, that universal blue check mark checking off and sealing a woman's Queen Bee status. And her rank as a 10 or a diamond SMV goes along with that particular package. But gentlemen, can we dare to take this even higher? Can we venture out further and take this score to the highest possible level? Now, my Patreon members already know where I'm taking this, but right now on the YouTube side, I am going to present to you the highest score possible under the 3D image coding system. Gentlemen, take a look at 20-year-old 2019 Miss Teen USA, Kaylee Garris. Now, this is your prototypical 100 Octane, meaning that she is at the peak, in the peak of her youth, beauty, and innocence. She has the blue check mark or the certified status of Queen Bee as being crowned 2019 Miss Teen USA, and of course she has that automatic dime status. So that gives her a 3D image score of 100Q-10. And if you're curious to see how she handles herself in the presence of other crowned queens, I'm going to include a link down below to an interview that was done as far as a photo shoot with Essence magazine. It really highlights, I believe, her charisma, her personality, her congeniality, and her ability to manage a social space. So that really shows why even at the age of 20, she deserves that ranking of Queen Bee. Now, gentlemen, with all of this information, with all of this new language, with all of these new dimensions to observe the modern woman, some may be asking themselves, well, how do I appreciate this? How do I take this in? How do I really benefit from viewing the modern woman from these perspectives? Well, look no further than the Seduction scriptures. Let me find my music as we go to the T-Taw Tabernacle. Okay, here we go. Take a look at page 127 under Seduction 604, Free Her Mind. Verse 2 says this: undress her world. The mature man, aka masculine master, appreciates the journey as much as the destination. The removal of the layers of lackluster interactions with other men as she services your requisite mental and physical stimuli is like taking your time with a vintage brandy, a nice filet, or a hand-rolled cigar. Her time with you is like taking in your favorite movement of a concerto, or that one bebop track that pauses time and unfurls into a sensory experience that is unmatched by floor seats at a sports competition or speedboating through a winding canyon ridge. This is the very space where the feminine essence is given the stage to present its delicious dance of nymphic playfulness to the orchestral ensemble of your true masculinity. Select men, pre-select men, non-select men. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And as always, this is your man Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, saying, stay sharp and mission focused. Later.